Hello, hello, hello. This is your message from the universe for 11/23/2020. This is the rune Uruz. Uruz is the rune of strength. It is not strength in the traditional way where we think of someone who is physically strong. This strength is specifically about the strength necessary for the process of transformation, for going through that change. See, in transformation and in life, there is a pattern that we follow. And so this rune brings to mind that pattern. We have death, we have decay, we have fertilization, we have gestation, and we have rebirth. It brings to mind this cycle in what we are going through, in this change that we're in. And based on the progression of cards over the last several days, we got to this gateway, we got an epiphany, we stepped through the gateway, ready for things to change, ready to make those incremental changes. And now this is the strength necessary to maintain that. And if you notice, for me, I have this strength reversed also. This is like the upright and reversed version of this strength card, because even though when we look at it, it looks like this person has so much strength to open the jaws of the lion. Really, his face or her face is very calm. It's very gentle. And you have that sun in the background, which I always call happiness. It is about wrestling with the changes within ourself and the changes that have to happen to our external world for those inner changes to happen. This reading really speaks to loving yourself. It really speaks to giving yourself that space and that time to embrace these changes. This Empress card, she's traditionally depicted as pregnant. So she kind of represents a mothering, nurturing energy. But when she is reversed, it's really about giving that mothering love to yourself, loving yourself in the way that you have always needed to be loved. When we look at the people in our lives, we often expect them to behave a particular type of way because of what we think a mother should be, what we think a partner should be, what we think a sister should be, or a brother should be. But really, it is us. We are responsible for giving ourselves that kind of love because they are human and they may not have the capacity to give to you in the depth of feeling that you need. And so this Empress card is really about releasing the codependency on people around you to give you love, and rather looking inwards and embracing that love that is within yourself. We have this temperance card. Temperance card is usually about patience, and when it's reversed, it's really about the patience to love yourself while you're going through this, creating balance, creating that alignment, and basically having that strength to go through it, having the strength to release the things that have been plaguing you, the fears that you've been carrying. This Nine of Swords reversed, we've gotten this a couple of times in this past cycle of cards and runes over the past few days in this epiphany cycle. And so it's very interesting to get it again in the in like the same type of position where it's really like pointing the way. You have to look very clearly at those spaces within you where you are expecting others to do for you, where you are expecting others to feel or act a particular way around you or towards you. You have to learn to release that. You have to be willing, and you have to have the strength and the bravery to step into that space. And I know that in this space, it will feel like people are after you. It will feel like they're trying to pull you out of your change. It will feel like people are trying to pull you out of your transformation because they are not changing. You are changing. And so you don't fit together in the same way. The people around us fit into our own insecurities and idiosyncrasies. So if somebody expects you to always say A, 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 and they're always supposed to say B, 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 and your reaction is always C. Now, what happens when you come on it and you say A1, A1, A1? Because you're still you, but you're doing things a little bit differently. You're rolling a little bit differently. And their response might still be B, 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 or even B plus, because they feel like you're a little bit different. They're going to be a little extra too. And then your response to them is like Q or F, F, F. Now they're completely thrown off. Now they have no idea what to do. Now they have no idea how to interact with you. They're going to stay in their pattern that they've been in. But when you change, now they have to start treating you differently. And if they don't, then the interactions are completely different. They don't go the way they should. And when you can recognize this, it really shifts everything between you, recognizing them trying to adjust to your new pattern. And you can experiment with this. Let's say you live with your parents or you live with a roommate and they expect you to come out and grunt at them as you make coffee in the morning. And so they always expect that. What if you came out and smiled at them and said, "Good morning, it's a beautiful day," and then went and made your coffee? What do you think they would do? Could they still complain about you coming out and grunting? Could they make fun of you as you came out with your hair sticking up in every direction and sounding like a monster, like they usually do? No, they couldn't. So they would have to shift what they did. Now they might make fun of you for coming out and saying good morning. Now they might make fun of you for being happy, for taking a positive attitude, pushing your mice off the shelf, right? But you have to pay them no mind because you are creating something brand new. And this Six of Wands cheering us on is always victory. The Six of Wands is always victory. You can see this little kitty cat, he got what he was trying to get. He got those pom-poms. He's telling them who's boss. Your victory is assured in this. It's just a matter of staying in the game. It's a matter of staying on the path. It's a matter of leaning into the change. And I've told you guys that when I grab my stones, let me get out of the way of the light. I know the light's really weird here today. When I grab my stones, I grab them before I do the reading. These stones right up here. I grab them before I do the reading. And sometimes they have something to do with the reading and I mention it. Sometimes they're more for my side of the reading. But these particular stones are not crystals per se. I found these stones in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Of course, I asked permission to take them. I always do before I take stones. And these particular stones, the Blue Ridge Mountains is like my happy place. I love it. I hope it to be my happily ever after place. So anytime that I am having weakness about the path that I'm on, or why do I keep going and why don't I just give in and give up, I always think about my happily ever after place of the Blue Ridge Mountains and these beautiful, beautiful stones that I found up there. They actually have, especially this one has some shimmer in it. I believe this one I got from Fairy Stone Park, which is an actual place where you can go and you can find fairy stones. Dig them up out of the ground. A fairy stone is actually a stone that forms in the shape of a cross. I believe it's because of the iron in the stone that causes it to form that way. I'm not 100% sure. So for me, this was a little bit of extra added advice for you guys about your happy place. So when you are feeling weak, when you're feeling like you can't make the change, when you are feeling like it's kind of hopeless and what's the point? Lean into your happy place. Lean into the vision of where you want to be. Lean into that space in your mind or in the world that makes you happy, that brings you joy, that takes away the stressors of the world for just a moment. And I do want to add one more thing. I watched a great documentary here on YouTube the other day. And if you're watching me on Facebook, it's on YouTube. I put it on my page. You can go look at it. And it's about grounding and earthing. And this is something that we've heard a lot about. Okay, yeah, walk barefoot in the ground, big deal. But this guy took it a step further. I think that this was sponsored by like National Geographic, not by some spiritual woo woo thing. And he actually made this device that is grounding from your wall plug. And you can easily find instructions. I literally watched a 5-minute instructional video last night on how to make one. And it talks about how the energy of the earth actually heals us, and that what he did was lie naked in the winter in Alaska. He out the dugout underneath of his house. But he created these little pads that you can just put your feet on while you're doing whatever. He created sheets that plug into the wall, and you can make one for yourself if you don't have that. It showed how being grounded to electricity, being grounded to the earth, because the ground plug in your wall is actually like leads to the earth to ground. It helped the plants grow in his house. It helped them to stay alive more. He had something like 8 inches taller growth on one of them while the other one started to die. He worked in this town, and everyone that he gave one of these little sheets to was better after 5, 10, 20 years of constant pain. This is something that I'm going to personally explore, which is why I'm sharing it with you. It's called The Grounding, The Grounding on a YouTube page called Earthing. And it's from 5 or 6 years ago. It is definitely worth watching, whether you have pain or not. It works on stress and anxiety. And I am fascinated to kind of dig into this a little bit more. I'm so grateful you guys are here. I'm grateful that you listen to me running my mouth. You are beloved, you matter, and you are so loved.